Coming up today on David Vs Goliath with the amazing host Adam DeGraide and the fantastic Nichols from Getaway.
I'm so competitive.
Nobody's going to beat Ali. No one's going to beat you is what you're saying, right?
Welcome to today's episode of David Vs Goliath, a podcast dedicated to helping small businesses leverage technology to not only help them compete against their large competitors, but win. Your host is currently the CEO of Anthem Business Software, a three-time Inc. 500 recipient, and a serial entrepreneur with a passion to help small businesses everywhere find, serve, and keep more customers profitably. Please join me in welcoming your host, Adam DeGraide.
Hey everyone, it's Adam DeGraide with another fantastic edition of the David Vs Goliath podcast. Welcome. Hopefully you're having a great day, and today is fantastic for you as it is for me. Anyway, we have Nichols today, the co-founder of a company called Getaway.co, real estate investment. I'm looking forward to learning all about it because I don't know a lot about it, and I've lost a lot of money in real estate, so maybe she's got some great advice for me. Today's episode is brought to you by automatemysocial.com, where you can automate up to 90% of your business's social media and never have to think about it again. The software creates your posts, helps you manage the posts, and distributes them automatically. And once you're there, you set it, forget it, it runs itself. You don't even have to think about it. Check it out today at automatemysocial.com. Be sure to visit our website at David Vs Goliath Podcast.com. There you can subscribe on our newsletter and also apply to be on the podcast. We'd love to hear from you. Well, let's get right to it. Welcome to the David Vs Goliath Podcast.
Hi, Adam. How are you?
I'm doing amazing. Did you wake up with a great attitude today? Are you pumped?
Of course.
You have to get excited about what we do every single day. I was spending some time on your website learning about what you do, and I was thinking back and reflecting in my life, of how much money I've lost in real estate. So it was so funny because as I was going through, I'm like, I'm looking forward to this interview today because, it's been a challenge for me over the years. I've made some money in real estate, but the investment side of the business, I've gotten killed on it. I always seem to get in at the wrong time, at the wrong place. And so I'm looking forward to learning what you and your partners over at Getaway are working on. And I think it's going to be a lot of fun for people. So just have some fun with it today. We're going to have a great time. So before we get started on some of the other things I love to talk about, like pet peeves and what gets you angry in the morning, I think it would be good for people to know exactly what Getaway does currently and where you see it growing in the future.
Awesome. Yeah. So at Getaway, we're building a real estate investing platform that really enables everyone to have access to investing in premier vacation rental properties. That's enabled through fractionally buying shares in a specific property where then you own the economic interest of the rental income upside and the appreciation gains over time as a percentage of ownership within that specific property. And then the cool thing about what we're building is your gains aren't just financial, but you're also investing in your lifestyle and travel by, everyone who's an investor is able to actually stay at the properties within the Getaway portfolio with member-only discounts and perks. So it's an opportunity to, financially make a solid investment into real estate and then also have this benefit of traveling and taking advantage of spending time with friends and family.
I love that. I bet you get it a lot. Like, what would be the difference between fractional timeshare ownership? But I mean, from what I understand, I can definitely tell the difference. So the difference is I'm not just buying a week's worth of time. I'm actually becoming an investor in this property and will share in rental income in the future if there is any. Plus, any time that you decide to sell the property and there's an actual cap gains, I will get my percentage of that return back. And as a benefit, if I'm going to go spend money in these beautiful places anyway, why not spend money on myself? Because I own a piece of it. And if I'm spending $3,000 here and I can spend $2,000 here and I can get a little piece of that back in the future, why wouldn't I do that? Am I getting this?
That is said perfectly.
You should actually hire me to be your spokesperson because it's clear.
I think so. I'm going to use that recording. That's going everywhere.
You should. I would 100% use that recording. I'm not the brightest person on the planet, Ali, but every once in a while I have some shreds of intelligence. And I'm reading it, I'm like, I think this is actually pretty clever. Now, I noticed you're deciding on the properties, right? So you have a portfolio that you've already gone out, Have you already acquired these properties and then now you're allowing people to invest in? So these are things that you and your partner have gone out. You've said these are going to appreciate. We believe in where they are. We believe in what they're doing. You've gone out, you vetted it, you did that hard work, and now you're opening it up to the average person. So are these micro investments? What's the smallest amount of money someone could put into it?
Yeah, so that's really where we're trying to open it up to everybody. So the minimum investment check size is $1,000. And so you can invest anywhere from 1,000 to 100,000, wherever you feel comfortable and are excited about the opportunity. And we think that it's a really great opportunity to also diversify, because I can put $1,000 in property A, property B, property C, and really build my own portfolio of homes I'm really excited about in markets and areas I'm excited about.
Now, are they single family homes or they are?
So to start, we're focused on single family homes. We're really excited, though, over time to expand the asset class to also looking at hospitality properties and other different types of assets that are traditionally really difficult for individual investors to get into on their own.
Now, are you leveraging the VRBOs and the Airbnbs to fill up the rentals and these other pieces of technology?
Yes. So on the demand side or the rental side, we are leaning very heavily into, the things that already exist and are working. So Airbnb, VRBO, Booking.com, all for the general public. So that's, generating demand for our non-investors. For our own investor community, we have a direct booking portal that has priority access and so forth. So there's just more and more benefits to becoming an investor.
That's really, really wild. I got to tell you, every day I do the show, I hear something new and fascinating. That's a simple concept that I actually love and enjoy. And I'm a huge tech guy. Like, I love technology. My wife will tell you, and my previous wife will tell you, I like to travel and spend a ton of money. And that's a big problem, but I can't help myself. I rent properties. I rent houses primarily. I just went and recorded a new album that's going to be coming out next year. And I went to Oklahoma City, and instead of paying $3,500 to stay at an Omni resort, I rented a 3,000 square foot home for $200 less. So it's like, why wouldn't you do that? Like, I could walk around, have coffee in the morning. I could go in the pool in the backyard. I could take a dip if I want to. Nobody's harassing me. I don't have to go sit near somebody at the bar who's, breathing on me. So it's, I am a big believer in rental properties in general and the Airbnb lifestyle. And so much so, there are some resorts that I do like staying at, though, of course. There's always the really nice ones and the special ones. But man, there's nothing like just my wife, my two kids, my nanny. We roll into a house, we stay there for 2 months, then we leave. It's kind of like when you have grandkids. You can see your grandkids, and then you send them home with the parents. And it's a lot of fun. Now, your background, I was reading about, you've been involved in some pretty interesting things that has led you to be where you are right now. And you're not doing this alone. Really quickly, tell the fine folks what you did that helped you lead up to starting Getaway.
Yeah, so previously, prior to Getaway, my co-founder Amr and myself, we worked at a startup called Bungalow. And Bungalow was really focused, tech-enabled property manager focused on millennial renters in major metros. And one thing we were able to help pivot that company into doing was, could we become this tech operator for institutional capital to deploy into single-family rentals? And so buying properties to rent them out. And we had the opportunity to lead from a business and product and technical perspective, building out that whole business unit, partnering with some really large institutional clients, and actually going out and partnering on a $700 million real estate fund to source, acquire, renovate, and then manage those properties. And that's really where the idea of Getaway had come from, is, wow, there's this motion in place for institutional capital to buy assets in the US. But when we went to go out and do it on our own as two individuals and like semi-successful millennials, quickly we were priced out of the market. We didn't have access to the capital structures that we were seeing, working with institutions. And frankly, we didn't have enough.
Because you're not China.
Yeah. Totally.
I mean, I know it sounds terrible, but like, my wife and I were talking about this last night, and this is not to get political, but just to philosophical. Why do we let other countries buy large pieces of property in our country? It seems to me like that's a problem. And not only that, it shuts out our own investment from our own communities. and our own private equity firms and our own private equity funds to be able to go and do this. And now we're competing with other countries that are trying to take over our country. I keep telling myself, this sounds insane to me. I'm not a politician at all. I like politics, but I'm not a politician. I don't even know why we do that, but that's probably what you are running into, right? I mean, you're running into large private equity companies that are funded from everyone in the world, other countries in the world, and then you're trying to create a fund to help the average person. And once again, the small guy is screwed. And I think at the end of the day, that's kind of what you're trying to do here, is to say, well, we can have our piece too. We don't have to let the big giant dominate it as well. And that's kind of where it's fascinating, because I've been involved. I've done deals with private equity. I've been involved in a bunch of different deals. And at some point, you don't care where the money comes from. But at another point, we should care where the money comes from. And it's fascinating. So you are part of a $700 million fund, and then you and your partner started Getaway. Is this like defective capitalism? Did they want you to leave and start this, or did you just say, bye, I'm doing this?
We just were really passionate about how do we create a platform that really, back to your point, opens this up for us and all of our friends and people in our, in our life circumstance, and really kind of the average consumer. Because there aren't opportunities, like especially in real estate, historically, you've had to have so much capital and really be in the top echelon of earners to get access to the space. And so for us, it's really important that, one, we can educate a broader consumer set on like why investing in real estate is a great part of your portfolio, or should be part of your portfolio. And then two, making it way more accessible from a dollar and cents perspective. I
think it's great. I think one of the things that you said on your website was fascinating too. You were not completely dissing crypto, but you kind of were dissing crypto. You basically said, can your crypto do that? Basically was one of your, so you're basically trying to help the younger investor and the more speculative investor understand that, there's crypto, but look at all the other benefits you can get in hedging your protections in real estate. I think it's fantastic. So we got to take a break. And when we come back, we're going to have some more fun on the David Vs Goliath podcast. You're with Ali Nichols, your handsome host, Adam DeGraide. Here's a very important message from our corporate sponsor, Automate My Social. We'll be right back.
Do you own a business? Do you have or need a social media presence? If you are like most businesses, you spend either no time or too much time and money on your social media strategy, spending thousands of dollars per month only to get mediocre and inconsistent results. This leads to frustration and, in some cases, sleepless nights. Introducing AutomateMySocial.com. Automate 90% of your social media and never have to think about it again. That's right. Automate your business's social media posting and strategy like forever. Automate the essentials and customize only what's needed. Save time, save money, and get better results with AutomateMySocial.com. Our patent-pending technology gives you the ability to automatically create your social post and distribute them immediately, like in seconds, across all your social media platforms. Stop the madness of paying someone to create, post, and manage your strategy, and let our software do the work, so you don't have to. Oh, and if you're an agency or social media manager, you too can let our software do all the work, and you can get all the credit. It will be our little secret. With AutomateMySocial.com, you can have it all. It's easy to use, never complains, and never asks for time off or more benefits. See this amazing new software application at AutomateMySocial.com. If you own a business or manage client social media and want to save time, energy, money, all while increasing your return on investment, then let's get this party started at AutomateMySocial.com.
And I'm back with Ali. She's obviously amazing and talented, hates crypto, hates everything other than real estate for the small person. No, I'm just kidding. But, when you think about you're working in these big funds, you're a part of this, you see it, right? So you see the opportunity. Very few people, Allie, take that leap and do it. Was it an uncomfortable decision for you and your partner? Were you guys working in the same place beforehand, or did you come from different places and get together? Tell people the evolution of, because some people right now are working at a place where they think they have a better idea for whatever. It could be what they're involved in or something different, and they get stuck there versus trying to do it themselves. Give them a little bit of a story of how you did that journey and how you made that jump.
Yep.
And hopefully there wasn't a lawsuit involved in it.
There is not a lawsuit involved. Very all friendly, all around. But my co-founder, Amr, and I had the opportunity to work together for 3 years previous to starting Getaway. And first and foremost, loved working together, realized we were an awesome team, complemented each other's skill sets really well. And I knew that he had always wanted to start his own company. He immigrated to the US. It's always been a dream of his to succeed in this country and take advantage of the opportunities that we're so fortunate to have. And I had the same experience. I was fortunate to be born here and have amazing upbringing, but always knew that I wanted to, start my own thing as well. So having known that, knowing we were great, working companions, we started thinking about different ideas. And, this idea of Getaway came to us in our own attempts to build our own personal portfolio. And it really stuck. As we talked to friends and family, everybody was like, oh, that's a great idea. So then we started going out to the general public and getting more feedback from potential customers. And it seemed like we were really hitting the nail on the head with a specific problem. And, as we see what's happening in the macro environment and how ownership of real estate and ownership of your primary residence is really shifting in this country, we think it's a prime time to offer a new way of owning real estate and open it up to more people. So it was perfect timing, perfect business partner with really similar aspirations. And so we just took the leap.
Now, are you building any technology with this as well too?
Yes. So fundamentally at our core, we consider ourselves a tech company. That's everything from our infrastructure of really building the platform to be an investment company and all of the technology that goes into making that process seamless. You go to our website, you click a button and you own real estate. That's pretty cool. And to be able to do that in 5 minutes and everything, all contractually be logged and registered with.
How do you factor in the different state laws as far as real estate? Yeah. Because that's a nightmare.
Yeah. So we actually are registered with the SEC. We did a qualification through Reg A. Okay. And we've gone through all of the process, built all of our tech on the back end to work and meet regulations and different standards across the SEC and FINRA. Now,
are you and this is just me thinking ahead because I use these apps I'm a big investor in a lot of different things. So I'm actually thinking to myself, this would be cool. Imagine if I could say, hey, here's $100,000. I get some fractional ownership in this. And there's a little app I log into and, estimated value of my investment is now worth $97,000 because of inflation and gas prices. And then maybe with new leadership, next thing you know, it's at 103, 102. I mean, is there that kind of transparency yet?
Yes.
Or is it there is. Okay. So
yes.
Tell us about that.
Yeah. So the second that you invest, all of your investments and transactions show up in your portfolio. And those are updated real time based on actual performance of the property. And, if you're invested in 10 properties, you'll see performance of all 10. So everything we're doing is very transparent. And one thing we're very focused on is, as an investor in a specific property, I want you to feel like an owner. I want you to know when you're having guests, what the occupancy rate is, what those guests said about the stay, so that it truly has that pride of ownership versus, a lot of apps that exist, whether they're investing in stocks and crypto or real estate today. It's like you put your money in and you kind of never hear from them again. One thing that we're really excited about is really building out the member experience, not only from the investor, landlord, ownership perspective, but then also how can we engage you to be able to stay in the property. Like there might be a dead weekend where nobody's booked it.
Yeah.
How do we reach out to all of our investors and say, hey, does anybody want to utilize this property this weekend? Which then, in turn increases our occupancy numbers and, provides a better return for the entire community.
Now, do you pay dividends annually, monthly now, or are you, and how do you exit?
Yeah, great question.
By the way, for the watchers and listeners of David versus Goliath, they're actually saying to themselves, Adam has never asked this many detailed questions of a person ever. I'm just interested. I'm always fascinated when I hear new technology and new things, and I always look for things that I can put my money into as well too. So how do dividends work, and then how does somebody exit?
Yeah, so dividends are paid out quarterly based on the rental income. So it's what the property produces, less expenses like property tax, insurance, and such. And then it's distributed out to the investor pool. On the exit plan, we plan to hold every property. Traditional real estate cycle, which is, depending on where we are in the market, is 5 to 10 years. We're averaging 7 from a hold period perspective. That being said, that's the plan today. One feature we want to build and is on our roadmap is the ability for our investors to be able to have a secondary trading marketplace where, let's say, Adam, you bought in today.
Yeah, you're definitely going to want to do that because that's going to be huge. A guy or gal throws in $50,000. They run into hard times.
Exactly.
They might need the money. Maybe I'll unload it back to you guys for 30 if they need it. I mean, I met a guy a few months back that bought a property from a celebrity who'll remain unnamed. It was a timeshare situation. The person had bought it for $70,000 originally. He was able to score it for like $2,500. So, there's definitely, people fall on different times. People end up in different situations. So you are looking at that. That's great.
Yeah.
What is the one thing that you're currently not doing that you hope to do?
The biggest thing for us is we're really wanting to expand internationally from an investment perspective. So, being able to buy a slice of a Cabo home or a Tuscan villa and things like that.
Now you're talking.
Exactly.
Now you're hitting the right demographic right here. Now I'm getting juiced up.
Yeah, exactly. So how do we take, advantage of, the places we want to go travel and spend time to actually own the economic interest in those properties?
That's awesome. How big is your team currently right now between it's you and your partner? And then how many people, whether contracted or employees, are involved in making your dream come true?
Yeah. So we're really focused on keeping a lean core full-time team. Just given the macro environment, we're focused very much on profitability.
What do you mean? We're in a recession? Just kidding.
Yeah, crazy, right? So we're 4 full-time employees right now. And then we have... I don't want to say an army, but a lot of folks that help us on a freelance contract consulting basis, as well as third-party vendors in market that help us service the actual properties.
Now, did you guys raise funds?
We did. We raised our seed round from venture capital in May.
That's it. By the way, that's a process in and of itself, raising seed capital. As a matter of fact, hold that thought. We're going to take another break from another fantastic sponsor. When we come back, we're going to talk about seed capital and what that actually means and what the process looks like to get it. With Allie, we'll be right back.
At ISU RMAC Agency, we want to be your one responsible source for all of your insurance needs. From a rocket engineer in California to several hospitals in Illinois, our personal lines team specializes in hard-to-place risks and high-net-worth clientele. With 2 locations and 20-plus agents, we can write in all 50 states to better serve our clients with needs in multiple states. Family-owned and operated since 1962, and 4 generations carrying on the tradition of insurance. Celebrating our 60th year in the industry, we are truly proud of where we have come from and where we are going. With over 300 carriers nationwide, our agency can offer individuals and businesses more choices and better prices. ISU RMAC brings a wide variety of solutions to the table. For more information, visit us online at www.isu-rmac.com.
we're back for our final segment with the amazing host, Adam DeGraide, and the fantastic Nichols from Getaway. A lot of people have great ideas. I've always bootstrapped mine. When I raise money, it's usually because I know people know me and they want to make money, and I've never done an institutional initial round. I love it that way. I mean, I've gone into tons of debt personally that way, but you make so much more at the exit if you can do that.
Totally. I
remember my first job, my first time I was making a boatload of money working 20 hours a week. I quit, and then I lived off credit cards for $200,000 in credit cards for 2 years. And at the time, and thank God I did, because I didn't have to give up any of the company. And although my wife at the time was a little concerned, and rightly so. But, because the interest, I was paying the interest with credit cards. But you know what? Hey, look at me now. And it all works out. So everyone's a little bit different. But when it comes to going through that process, walk the watchers and listeners through the process of your idea to presenting to collecting the money.
Yeah, so it's kind of a gauntlet, to be honest. So we
wait till you actually exit. Wait till you actually. You think that's a gauntlet? Yeah.
I know the mountain keeps getting taller and taller each milestone you hit. Right. So as I mentioned before, we came up with the idea. We did a bunch of user interviews and testing and demand testing to make sure that this was a real problem we were solving and people were interested. And we were able to take that data, put it into kind of our pitch and our story of why we wanted to go after this space, what our initial capital raise would be able to achieve, why we needed it. Specifically for us, it's highly regulated space. A lot of the initial capital just goes into regulated. How do we get qualified to do this?
Totally.
And then we started having conversations, a lot of cold emails, a lot of reaching out to friends being like, hey, I noticed you know this person. Can you make an intro? And what we found is there are a lot of no's. I think we talked to over 70 different VC firms within a 3-week period. And it was just constant Zoom calls.
And then you got down to only one who wanted to invest, but you told them there was 3 others. No, I'm just kidding.
Luckily, we didn't have to pull any shenanigans like that.
Shenanigans? That's par for the course. By the way, don't let them kid you. They do it to you all the time.
For sure. But we found some interesting groups that we're really excited about, our partners that believe in us and have been awesome so far. But be ready for a lot of no's.
Oh, by the way, great advice. Be ready for a lot of no's. And I told this story before in the past. I can't remember which episode, but I always like to tell stories again because not everyone can watch a 40-minute, 45-minute podcast every week. I think of like Richard Marx. You remember that artist? You ever heard of that artist, Those Endless Summer Nights? And this is like maybe before your time, but Richard Marx was like a huge pop star back when I was in high school. And his story, this was back when you would have like cassettes or early he would record and he would go to all these record labels. And he went to, I think it was like 220 record labels who told him, you suck, you'll never be anything. Finally, he walked into one. The guy heard the song, loved it so much, released it. It became the world's #1 song. It was like a #1 for like 8 weeks on the charts. And he became a superstar at the time. And it's like that kind of perseverance, Allie, that kind of courage, and that kind of really an anti-discouragement spirit that I think some entrepreneurs have is really what's needed in really thick skin. Because if you're convinced and you believe in your heart and your mind that you have a great idea, you can get through the no's, although they're painful. Anybody that say that they're not painful, for someone to say, Allie, you're crazy, this is never going to work, you take it personally, right? What was it for you specifically? Because your partner's not here. I'll talk to him at another time. What was it for you that gave you the courage, #1, to meet with 70 venture capitalists and actually dare to ask for whatever you asked for? and then really, #2, the second part of that is, what's the courage in doing that in the first place? And #2, what gave you the perseverance to push through till you got your yes?
Oh, such a great question. Still working on my therapist to find the real answers, but I I don't know. It's this like intrinsic drive of like, never giving up and figuring out how to make, something happen from nothing. But I think, with this specific idea, we had so much conviction personally because so much of it, we wanted to build a product for ourselves. And then having the conviction of the folks around us and, random people that we had just met and random future prospect customers.
We call them randos.
Randos that made me feel like there's definitely something here. And I need to convince somebody to give us a shot at building this, because I know that if we have the shot, my co-founder and I, like, we'll run through walls to make it happen. Well,
we're going to find out
something intrinsically.
The great news about this, Allie, is we're going to find out. So the courage was, if I'm hearing you correctly and interpreting what you're saying, you got the courage from the fact that you had intrinsic belief. You were getting the same feedback in your echo chamber of people that were saying to you, I really would love to do this. So that gave you the courage. But that doesn't give you the staying power when people or the thick skin, the stick-to-itness, I guess is, I don't know if any of this is words, to stay in the game when you receive a no, we're going to pass. Great idea. Call us in 6 months. People, all these things that you go through when you're raising funds. What was it in you that helped you go to that next one?
I'm so competitive. Like, not winning isn't
Nobody's going to beat Allie. No one's going to beat you is what you're saying, right?
It's been part of me, like part of my life since I was a little kid.
I love it. You remind me of my daughter Brooke, my first daughter. She's my eldest daughter. She is like that. She's a warrior. And my new daughter, she's only 4. I've got like a 25-year-old daughter, 2 grandkids. I've got a 4-year-old daughter who doesn't have any kids, clearly. And
let's hope not.
2 different women. But at the end of the day, they're both the same type of, like my son Anthem, current son Anthem, will not lose. He doesn't understand. Everything has to be about winning. And I keep saying that this isn't a game. He goes, but we're going to make it a game. We're going to win. And so to see that, I know exactly what you're saying. There's just something. So you're saying in that particular aspect of the process, you have that inner strength and confidence. So you're just not going to lose. You're going to make it work and you're going to find a way to do it. And that's probably what your investors liked when the ones that invested in you at the end of the day, because they actually know that you and your partner will walk through glass. And if he won't, they know you will. And I think that's really important that people feel that. But there are people watching and listening right now that don't have that natural gift, that they do get discouraged. And the only thing I would tell you guys is that I heard a great message once years ago. It was from a pastor, believe it or not. I was at a youth group and I was a young kid. And he said, your life is going to be like you're heading to the sun, right? God has called you to do something amazing in your life and you're walking in that direction. But the clouds come in, the rain comes in, the darkness settles in and you can't see where you're going. He said, just keep walking in the same direction. And before you know it, the clouds will lift and the sun will shine again. And it was such a profound thing when I heard it. It hit me not only like with my spiritual walk and my personal faith, but I've used that principle in everything because the clouds will come, darkness will settle in, and just keep walking to where you last saw the sun. And before you know it, things will change and the sun will appear. But don't forget, when it's sunny, it will rain again as well too. And you'll have to go through the same process. Well, this has been awesome. How can people find you?
Yeah. So if you're interested in learning more, check out getaway.co. So .co.
Send Allie your cash. She clearly needs it. No, this is exciting. Have you had a good time being on DVG today?
This has been awesome. Thank you so much.
I'm so glad. See, I told you it was going to be easy peasy lemon squeezy. And would you come back and update us in about 18 months? Let us know how you and your partner are doing over there.
Absolutely.
We wish you the best. Make sure you link it, tweet it, and share it, Allie, when this episode comes out next week on Halloween. And for a very special treat right now, before I close out the episode, I'm going to play for my watchers and listeners about 45 seconds of a new single that I have coming out on the Adam Music Project. It's hard rock. It's not going to fit the episode. If you hate hard rock, turn it off right now. If you love hard rock, crank it up. TJ, fire the song.
Watch your back, 'cause you won't hear me coming. One slice, it fades to black, makes me laugh when you're running. I am the nightmare. I'll take your last breath, I'll take your last breath. I am the nightmare. I bring down. Your tears sparkle in the glow of my eye.
And that was I Bring Death by Adam Music Project. And Allie, and just be grateful you didn't have to listen to that, because that probably would have scared you this Halloween. Anyway, thank you so much for joining us in David Vs Goliath. Thank you once again to the watchers and the listeners. We wouldn't be here without you. Have an awesome day.